of hours across the rest of the U.S. So we want to celebrate the new year with you. Thanks for joining us here on the AccuWeather Network. And as we head into 2024, there's a lot to look back on in 2023 as far as weather, and we'll be recapping a lot more of that in the hours to come here on the AccuWeather Network. We do have a lot of celebrations, though, going on across the U.S., including in places like Boston, Massachusetts. Before we get there, though, I want to show you some of the other sites coming in around the world, and this includes Tuesday, too. Like I said, though, Boston 32 for the low, really not all that cold considering where we could be for first night celebrations. So things are looking good here. We will have those clouds, though, pushing back in as we head throughout the night. Meanwhile, we take you into the southeast and New Orleans. It's the fleur-de-lis drop. Temperatures in the lower 50s here. Not a whole lot happening, but the clouds trying to sneak their way back in there for the celebration. And of course, a lot going on then, too, in town, as they do have the Sugar Bowl around as we go into New Year's Day. New Year's Eve night across the south central U.S. This is where it's actually chilly. And notice, this is chilly for just 2023, this December so far, because we're really close to historical averages in many locations, if not even a little bit above in some places like courtesy of EarthCam. That's going to be true for most locations, but as we head throughout the night, we are expecting some of that moisture to continue to push its way on east. So we do have the chance for more snow showers working their way on through, even some flurries closing in towards New York City. If you're out past ball drop time, might see some flurries as we get towards daybreak time there in New York City. So that's something to watch. Of course, there has been a lot of snow reports out there already in some locations, even some freezing rain reports. We've seen that in places like Wausau, where we've gotten that glaze of ice, worse as you get into the Northwoods, too. So it's been a bit of a problem even towards the Fox Valley as you work your way off towards the further east across Wisconsin there. So we know they've had some issues with that, and the moisture, again, still coming in some spots. Here's this low pressure system spinning, allowing for some of that snow, and as it slides its way east, you can see a lot of rain trying to mix in with it. Where we do have the snow, a lot of the numbers in the mid-30s. So it's not that cold. If it sticks to anything, it's usually the grass most of the time, just not accumulating on most surfaces. So this storm system, not very problematic, but we did have that early bout of precipitation across Minnesota and Wisconsin that created some of the troubles. Tonight, temperatures do go back down across the north central tier of the nation below freezing. This is still mild for this time of year across the north central tier, but cooler than, again, where we've been. 13 the low in Sioux Falls, 19 in Minneapolis, and 17 in Fargo. So should be good as you go through ball drop time for most. More clouds off towards the Great Lakes, where that moisture is still coming in for Monday, especially off of Lake Michigan. We'll have some wintry weather for you, a couple snow flurries out there. Indianapolis, 37 for your high for New Year's Day. Tomorrow looking pretty quiet here and warming up off towards the west. We'll see that mild trend in Scottsbluff in the 50s, mid-40s as you look towards Rapid City. So where is this moisture headed? Well, it's going to be pushing its way farther east, and in fact, we're already finding it. Snow trying to mix in for the highest elevations of Pennsylvania and into the Alleghenies here. We do have most of the accumulations, if we see anything, in the Laurel Highlands, and that's not going to be, again, on roads or anything to that nature. It's really just coming into what is a pretty mild trend for many. So as we head through the next few hours, what can we expect? Well, again, this moisture is still going to be out there, but the lows not quite cold enough to really develop true problems on the roadways. 29 the low in Buffalo. Joining us as we close out 2023 and head into 2024. A lot of weather in this past year, and we'll be covering it all here on the AccuWeather Network over the upcoming days. First off, though, we are going to get you started with that storm system. It doesn't last for all that long. So here's a storm system around the Great Lakes. You can see it kind of spinning here just over southern Lake Michigan, and it is providing some rain and snow showers out there for a few folks. So we are dealing with some of that precipitation. I want to show you, though, too, that earlier in the day, this did produce problems. Lots of snow reports coming in through Minnesota and in Wausau, as well as in Rhinelander, Wisconsin. They managed to pick up some freezing rain. So that's been a problem. You can see Wausau picking up a fourth of a hundredth inch, 4/100 of an inch of freezing rain, and a Rhinelander there picking up more than 1/10 of an inch of ice, which created some big time problems on the roads. That freezing rain actually worked its way into Green Bay and the Fox Valley, so we did have problems extend outside of the Northwoods there. So again, we're following the storm system as it keeps pushing its way on east, but it brings in some of that cold air here overnight tonight, which, hey, you know what? It finally starts to feel like the end of December into the beginning of January. As we roll into New Year's, 20 degrees the low for Minneapolis. We should be a little bit colder this time of year, but at least we're in the ballpark, right? We haven't been there for so long. 28 in Chicago and 13 in Sioux Falls. So we'll start to feel a little bit like New Year's, if you will. On New Year's Day, some of that chilly air still holds on around the Great Lakes. We say chilly because it's going to be cooler than where we've been, but it's really not cold for this time of year as some of those snow showers, maybe even a few raindrops, move out. So Chicago, you're still looking pretty cloudy. Temperatures back to the mid-30s for highs, and we keep a lot of the clouds here across the region. There's warmth, though, building back into places like Scottsbluff, upper 40s for highs there. Meanwhile, we trek off towards the east, and you can see that moisture already pushing its way into places like Pennsylvania, where there will be some snow showers coming down. It could create some slowdowns in a few spots, but again, because we have that mild weather so far, the ground is not really that cold. So for the most part, it has meant melting on roadways. We want to watch, though, in those higher elevations, especially as you get into western New York. Temperatures there in the 20s overnight. We're falling back into the 30s in New York City, and that's by daybreak, New York City. So we'll be milder at ball drop time. But with those clouds in place, again, we are expecting it to be mostly dry. Can't rule out, though, sprinkle or a flurry near and just after ball drop time. So Monday here across the Northeast, as we look, we're talking about some snow showers through the interior Northeast, some of the usual spots. Elsewhere, we are quiet, though cloudy, and still kind of keeping things a little dreary at times. 39, the high in Boston. Again, not all that cold for this time of year. That's been the story across the nation, so it's no surprise. We watch this storm system work its way on east, and you can see that moisture heading into the midnight hour does start to disappear, but there is some moisture towards the I-95 corridor. So could be a sprinkle or a flurry in a few locations, but it is fleeting and it won't last long. And a lot of this dies down heading into tomorrow morning. So once we get beyond daybreak, things are going to settle through as the storm system rolls out. If you want more sunshine, if you're a sun lover like myself, it doesn't matter if it's cold or not. It's going to be coming in on Tuesday with a little bit of brighter times across the Northeast. I think your cross coming in, even though the sun goes down. If you are headed nearby, though, along the Gulf Coast to Mobile, Alabama, it's about an hour away from Pensacola via I-10. 48 degrees at the Moon Pie drop. And yes, real feel, 45 degrees should be good there for those festivities as we keep a few clouds in. Elsewhere across the nation, we do have lows back into the 20s and 30s across the north central tier and the central U.S. This is near historical average, so it's where we should be for this time of year. These numbers are as we get towards daybreak in the morning, so it again will be a little bit milder most locations overnight. Just have to watch out for some fog through Kansas. New York City, the all-important ball drop in Times Square, 40 degrees, cloudy conditions. Again, sprinkle, rain sprinkle, or a snow flurry near just after ball drop is a possibility as we go through the night and really into the early morning hours. And for the southeast, I mean, if you look, even the north central tier, the icebox of the nation, has been 10 to 15 degrees above average, but that warmth has persisted throughout the south. And that has been a story that we have found time and time again throughout 2023, not just for the U.S., but across the globe, as Tony Lawbeck explains. Well, across the southern U.S. overnight, we actually are getting a little cooler, so this is a change up for us. Overnight lows as we head through New Year's Eve night and into New Year's Day. Temperatures falling to 34 in Dallas. We're going back to 31 in Little Rock and 39 in Jackson with some showers. New Year's Day itself tomorrow, we're looking at high pressure building in, but towards the Gulf Coast.